So going off of that, kind of leading nicely into our next point is the other question I always like to ask a guest whenever I have them on is what are some of your favorite movies that are like your go-tos that you could always put on and always be in a like always put you in a good mood no matter what's going on.
Okay. That's a tough question. Only because I barely watch stuff. Like I tried to recommend some stuff to my friends recently, and they're like, "What are you doing? Like this isn't good." I, but I guess my number one of all time would be Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's just like a guilty pleasure of mine. I know it. I remember it used to get like dunked on at school all the time because I guess it got brought up a lot. But it just came out during like I think I was in middle school, so it came out at the right time.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
though Scott Pilgrim is like an adult
Mm-hmm.
in the story, but like I don't know the juvenile stuff he was going through in the movie just was like I don't know, relatable somehow. And then
Right.
the aesthetic was so appealing because I'm a gamer. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Legend of Zelda startup, like the comic book like edits and all the ridiculous fighting going on.
Yeah.
And then Michael Cera is just a gem. I love that guy. Like
Yeah.
he's great.
That whole movie is
Um,
like really perfectly cast for each role. Like Mary Elizabeth Winstead is the perfect Ramona. I forget the guy who plays the lead singer of the Sex Bomb, but he's like almost like perfectly lifted right out of the
the
graphic
comic.
novel. Yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
that whole movie is just really well cast, and I think Edgar Wright was the perfect person to bring that story to life. His whole like visual sense of comedy really suits that story well.
hmm Yeah, that was great. Um, Trying to think of some other movies. Like if I had a top five, I guess Black Panther would probably be in there somewhere.
Okay.
Uh, I'm gonna need a minute. So why don't you tell me yours?
All right. Hold on. I have a list somewhere. Scott Pilgrim was my number one for a while. It was kind of funny because that was like a case where I think I saw it maybe like my freshman year of high school because a bunch of my friends were like, "Oh man, you got to see Scott Pilgrim. It's amazing. You'll love it." And I was like, "Oh my god, stop talking about this movie. I just don't want to watch it. It doesn't sound interesting." And then I was at I think like Giant or something, and I saw it in like the bargain bin or something, and I was like, "Okay, well, fine. This can't hurt. If I'll just pick it up. I'll watch it. I can say that I watched it, and everyone will leave me alone." And then I watched it and I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
So it is yeah, it was my favorite movie for a couple years. And then what else? I think I, before that it was The Big Lebowski. I really liked that movie.
That's on my list. I still haven't seen that.
Oh, yeah, you should. It's really funny. It's very kind of strange and like it's not it's one of those movies where like if the hype could potentially ruin it. You know what I mean? Where it's like it gets
Yeah.
hyped up so much, and then you see it and you're like, oh, that wasn't as amazing as I thought as everyone made it out to be. But it is a really funny movie, really memorable. Uh, I definitely recommend that one. In terms of my top five right now, I would say I think Scott Pilgrim would probably be number five. Uh, Number four, I don't. I think it would probably be a documentary that I recommended earlier in the show called Dear Zachary. It's just this really heartfelt, really sad but like powerful story about like these two friends who uh like they've known each other since second grade and they grow up and kind of go their different ways and then one of them ends up murdered, so the his friend decides to like make a documentary about his friend and like all the people who knew him, and it kind of evolves into something else as the production goes on, and it's really really sad, but it's really
Uh,
good. uh And then number 3 would probably be John Carpenter's The Thing. My favorite scary movie of all time. I love it.
My mom loves that movie.
Oh yeah. No, it's. Have you ever seen it before? Or?
I haven't seen it since I was a kid. You talking about when they were like in Antarctica or something?
Yeah.
And yeah.
I love that movie so much. There's so much that like it's just I think that like the quintessential horror movie. It does so many things right. The creature effects are amazing. The writing's amazing. There's like it really does. Like, I mean, there are like jump scares in it from time to time, and I think that's a problem with like a lot of newer horror movies. That it's just a lot of jump scares and like big orchestral stings or whatever to freak you out. But what I really love about that movie is it really places a lot of emphasis on suspense and making you like creeped out and nervous and kind of give you like this perpetual state of anxiety. And then when something like actually jumps out and is actually scary, it just feels that much more impactful. I actually just realized I'm wearing a The Thing t-shirt as we're recording. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, that's actually kind of ironic. Yeah, no. And then my number 2 actually, I won't say what it is quite yet because it's actually the recommendation that I'm giving my guests for the next episode. So we'll hold off on that for a while. But then my hands down, my favorite movie of all time is again, it's like one of those ones where everyone's like, "Oh, what's that?" I don't know what that is. It's called Synecdoche, New York by by Charlie Kaufman. The same guy who did Being John Malkovich and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and an adaptation. He's done a bunch of like really weird kind of comedy drama movies, but that one is the first movie. He's written those other ones that I mentioned, but this was the first one he directed, and it's hard to sum up. It's kind of like about it touches on like a lot of the things that we talked about earlier about like finding your voice and like creative style and all that, but it's a really depressing movie. It's about it's about this like guy who he's in his like 40s or whatever, and he's like a struggling like theater director, and he gets this grant to do whatever he wants basically and make whatever kind of play he wants. So he decides to because he's very depressed and like a lot of things go wrong for him, so he decides to make this like brutally honest play about like you're born, you go to work, you die, and that's the whole thing. So he's trying to make this play all the while like where like things just keep on happening to him that are just getting worse and worse and worse, and he gets more and more depressed, and ultimately like he uses the play to kind of like dump a lot of the things that depress him or like give him anxiety and all these problems. He puts them into the play as a means of dealing with them, and it becomes like a very kind of, I don't know the word for it, but like very meta, I guess, where where the play literally at one point becomes it's a play about his life exactly. So he hires an actor to play him. His wife at the time is an actress, so she is playing herself in the play, and it just keeps going. Like they're like even further on in the movie, they decide, well, since this is a play about my life, then my character in the play needs to be making a play. So my character in the play needs to hire a character to play himself playing me, and like it keeps on going and going and going, and it's crazy. But yeah, no, I think that one actually might be on because they put it on Netflix recently. So if you get a chance to watch that, I'd definitely recommend it. But it's
and what's it called again?
Synecdoche, New York. It's
okay.
Yeah, I'll message you the spelling later because it's kind of I still get it wrong, but I want to say it's on Netflix because I remember being really excited when it finally came on. But it is a very it is one of those movies where you'll watch it and you'll be like, oh man, that like I feel kind of bummed out now. But yeah, no, that's my that's my top 5. That's kind of been like. I kind of get very rigid when I organize things into a list like that, so it's kind of been stuck like that for at least a few years now. But yeah, those are my go-tos.
Okay, so I've got one of my favorite movies from a couple years ago. It's been a while since I've seen it, but the first movie of Insidious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I don't know why, because I used to hate horror movies because I was a scaredy cat for the longest time. But when I first seen that movie, I was like, it was like one of the first times that I was scared, but I was entertained at the same time.
Right.
Like, and I don't know why, because I watch it now, and they get to the scene where the red like demon shows up, and I'm like, what is this? It's just so corny. But when I first seen it, I was like, yo, y'all need to stop playing, because the jump. I feel like the jump scares were like, they were better than what I was used to, and I think I was getting tired of the Paranormal Activity movies.
Right. Yeah.
Like they were just getting long, like just overdone.
Mm-hmm.
The found footage scary movies they were just abusing the mess out of that system. But yeah, Insidious, that was a good one. I've got a lot of I've got a couple good shows that I watch.
Okay.
Like I don't know why, but I have this problem like with movies. I only watch them once.
Okay.
But I gotta start watching TV more, because I wake up and then all I do is draw.
Mm-hmm.
But because if I watch a movie, I'm gonna have that'll be the only thing I do, because I multitask usually. Like I'll have like a podcast on. But the shows that I watch, BoJack Horseman.
Okay.
That was my favorite show for a minute, and when the finale came out earlier this year, I was like, wow. Like have you seen it?
No, I have a lot of friends who've seen it, but I kind of struggle with shows. It takes a lot for me to get in, because I don't know. Like I'm kind of the opposite, where like I really enjoy like focusing a lot of my attention for like 2 hours on one movie. But unless it's like a really good show, I kind of struggle to like stick with it, if that makes any sense. But from what I've heard, BoJack is an amazing show.
Okay. Yeah, I won't. If you're gonna watch it, I'm not gonna spoil anything for you.
Okay.
But the conversation that they have throughout the entire series is so in depth and personal. It's a comedy, but like it gets very dark. And it really makes the viewer self-reflect. Even though it's about a horse who's a celebrity, a washed-out celebrity. Like they take the most unrelatable thing, and it just the things that he does is just so personal that you feel it.
Right.
So I really liked what they did with that show, especially the second to last episode. Like I was shook. I was shook. But I won't speak on too much of that since you haven't seen it yet. Another show that I really liked was Community.
Okay, yeah, I've seen bits of that. That's really funny.
Yeah, Donald Glover, best part of the show for me. I was so upset the last season when he left, because the fire was gone. Like, but it was one of those sitcoms where almost like the same thing happens every episode, but they just do it a different way.
Right. Yeah.
So it's still funny. And the characters do grow, but it's kind of like a revolution. Like they'll experience something and develop, but then they'll turn right back around and reset with their development. So I guess it just gave them another way to add something into the mix while still enjoying this character that people have attached themselves to, without changing their personality completely.
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah, so I really like that show. And then the apocalypse season of American Horror Story.
Okay.
Had,
Yeah, I've seen a couple bits. I don't know if I've seen a full episode, but I saw a lot of clips from the Freak Show season, and it looked pretty interesting.
okay, yeah, that one was good, but that season definitely wasn't their best.
Okay.
I think the first witch season was their best, I think, but the apocalypse one really messed me up because I watched it before all this pandemic stuff was happening. But like the way that they go about the world ending just messed me up. I definitely had an existential crisis watching this season, that season, because of just the way that they go about things ending. It's been a while since I watched it because, like I said, I'll watch something once and then I'll just put it down forever.
Right.
But it definitely had one of the biggest impacts on me out of the whole entire series.
And is it just American Horror Story Apocalypse, or what's the?
I watched the Salem witch one.
Okay.
I think I watched some of the Roanoke one, where I think it was like a haunted house. But there was ghosts from some different age period attacking the family that was in the house, I think.
Gotcha.
And then I couldn't get into the hotel one, the one with Lady Gaga.
Okay.
That one didn't interest me, but the Freak Show one was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of another one. I can't think of any more though.
What's the I'm looking at this. I again, I know nothing about this show, so I know
okay.
I know like each episode, each season is like its own like story, and the characters come back and all that. But the only one that I even like have any slight knowledge of is the Freak Show one, just because I don't know, I saw a bunch of clips of it. But so yeah, no, there's Murder House, Asylum, Coven, Freak Show, and then they got this new one. I haven't heard anything about the 1984. Have you seen that one yet or no?
Is that the new one?
Yeah, that looks like the newest one.
No, I haven't watched that one yet.
Oh, okay. But I mean, like, damn, 9 seasons. That's a pretty accomplished looking show.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, I gotta look into who writes for them because that stuff is crazy. Especially I think that's a really cool idea of how you can have like a set show, but like every season is a different story. So you're not like stuck trying to develop a plot that has already peaked.
Right. It's a nice way to like, because a lot of times you see like with more like episodic shows, like maybe like Black Mirror or something, where like they'll have a longer episode and the story is self-contained. You don't really see it too often where it's like a self-contained season. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's a good balance of having a lot of time to develop characters and explore a whole bunch of different plot lines while still staying contained and not having to worry about like continuity between seasons or between showrunners or writers or anything like that. So those are like your go-tos, like if anyone's like, oh man, what's a good movie or show? Like that's what you're gonna jump to.
Yeah, those are dope. Those are pretty dope. I don't think you'd waste time watching those if you like horror and humor.
Yeah. I'd say those are some pretty solid recommendations. And then speaking of, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, I was just gonna say Insidious, the first Insidious. If you really like it, then you should probably finish it. But like the first Insidious alone is it's a little campy at this point.
Yeah, I think those movies in general have kind of gotten like you'd said with Paranormal Activity at that time, it was kind of stale. I feel like we're at that point now with like The Conjuring and Annabelle and Insidious and all that, where it's like, okay, what's the next thing? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. They're going back to classic horrors now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, with like Invisible Man and like they tried to do The Mummy I haven't seen The
Candyman.
Invisible. Oh yeah, Candyman too. That trailer was really something else. Like I had never. I saw bits and pieces of the first Candyman. I didn't bother with any of the other sequels or whatever. But that trailer was really something else.
There's sequels to the Candyman?
Yeah, there's I think two sequels, but they weren't
Wow.
as well received. Let me look it up really. Yeah, there's Candyman came out in '92, and then there's Candyman Farewell to the Flesh that came out in '95, and then Candyman Day of the Dead that came out in '99, and then there's this new one coming out, which I guess is like a soft remake, but also from what I understand, a sequel to the first one.
Okay.
Like pretending that the like 2 and 3
Yeah,
didn't
yeah, oh
happen.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the trailer, you're right. Yeah, I had went back to watch the first one like a month ago because I had only seen like bits and pieces of it before too when I was a kid. Like my mom's a crazy horror movie fan. But I yeah, I went back to go watch it and I was freaking blown away by the ending. Like I wasn't expecting it the way I didn't expect it to end the way that it did. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for this new one.
Yeah, it definitely looks like something else, and like it's I do very much like that. There's this new kind of wave of I actually no. Let me reword that. I was gonna like sort of touch on like that. There's kind of like this new wave of like people who are just starting out who are being like given control over like remakes and like and adaptations of like beloved source material. So I think that is kind of cool that like you have this like interesting scenario where people who were like young when these movies came out and possibly influenced them are now getting their chance to like express themselves through that same story and through that same set of characters and all that. Like you see it a lot with like the Marvel movies and having like people who are like big fans of the comics being able to go and then like make a Guardians of the Galaxy movie or a Black Panther movie or anything like that. But like it's just it's a very interesting and you know that the series or the story is in good hands then.
Right. They remade Nightmare on Elm Street, and that was trash. That was trash.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like the design, the design of like his torched face
Right.
was too much. Like
Yeah.
I feel bad because I like the actor who played as him.
Yeah,
I
that
forgot his
actor is
name.
like I forget his name, but he's in a bunch of stuff, and it's
Yeah, he was
like
in Rorschach. Or he was Rorschach.
right,
On,
yeah. I think it's just one of those cases where like Freddy Krueger is like just so embedded in our heads that like Robert Englund is the only person who can ever play
yeah,
him. You know what I mean?
unfortunately, yeah, because he just yeah, it wasn't good.